Okay, guys, I'm here. I'm focused now. I'm pumped. Yay! Thank you for joining me on this evening for you guys. It's only like 3 o'clock here. But thank you so much for joining me for today's broadcast of why now is the perfect time to write your book. And so I have some categories to this, but I'm just going to go through the reasons why. So some of them are reasons why you personally need to write it. Some of them are business reasons why you need to write it now. And some are about others. Some of the reasons are about why it's time for you to write your book now that have to do with other people. So I think where I'm going to start is the personal. And I hope you guys can't hear my computer because every time you guys respond, I didn't turn the volume down on my computer in the room, but I'm not going to go back there. But anyway, so I think I'm going to start with why now is the time for you. So personally, you to write your book. So the first thing I have for you guys is it's the perfect time because your story, we all have a story, right? And your story has impact, whether you realize it or not. And there is somebody out here in the world that needs what you have to offer. So that's the first thing you need to write, because your story has impact and what you have to say can make a difference in the life of somebody else. So it's your personal story that has impact, that has to be delivered out to the world. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is the joy and the personal growth that comes from writing. I have seen it in myself, and I've also seen it with other authors that I've worked with. The personal growth that happens when you write, the joy that you feel when you get that book in your hands. Like, for those of you who've been with me before, you probably heard me tell the story of when I got my first book in the mail, like many years ago, and the UPS man showed up at the door. I was sitting upstairs in my office, and I ran down the steps before he could even knock. And just as he was about to knock, I flung the door open and I'm like, "You have my book," which he probably thought I was this crazy woman because, okay, you got a book. Like, how many people order books from Amazon, right? And so he probably thought it was just any book, but it was my book. And the joy that comes from seeing your name in print on your book, on something that you have published, is just something that's inexplainable. But I now have published the 7th book, so just published the 7th book, and the excitement is there every single time. Like, it never gets old. So that personal joy that you feel, and then the personal growth, because I also tell people, especially people who are writing books about themselves, about things that are personal to them, that there's a personal growth and there's healing that comes with writing your story. So if you're sharing something that's personal to you about a situation that you've been through, that you've overcome or something like that, there is healing and growth that happens through the writing process. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to release what you're passionate about. So if you have something that you're really passionate about, whether it be a cause, a group of people, like for me, everybody knows the love that I have for teenagers, the calling that I have to women who are experiencing divorce, who have been through divorce. If you have something that's passionate about, a thing that you feel really passionate about, it's a great way to release that passion out to the world and to be able to make an impact. It's a way for you to make your mark on the world, to leave your mark on the world, to use your own unique voice to be able to impact the life of somebody else. Is an incredible feeling. Just like with mentoring, like when I was doing mentoring, it's like I was getting as much out of it as those young girls were getting out of it. So the same thing with writing. It's you get to use your own unique voice in order to make an impact. So that's huge. You make your mark on the world. It's your own unique voice, and nobody can do it but you. It doesn't matter if several people have already written on a certain topic, like the book we just released was on divorce. It didn't matter that other people had written titles that had to do with divorce, because these were our personal, our own stories that had our own unique voice. So, and then that was 3 and 4 actually. And then so number 5 is if you have been saying it forever that I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I really am going to write a book. Like, how many years are you going to say that? Like, I need to get this book written. I'm going to write a book. And I know many people say it over and over again. Year after year, it shows up on a vision board. It shows up on the goal list, and it still doesn't get done. For that reason alone, you should do it just to prove to yourself that you can. To prove to yourself that you can. So now let's talk about what it means for other people when you write. When you begin to write and when you publish, you give other people permission to do the same. You know, it's sort of that thing about letting your light so shine, so that others will know that they can too. So when you write, well, this is what I found. When I started writing, you know, people looked at me and said, wow, like if she can do it, I can too, right? And it's so true that you inspire other people when you step out and you let your own light shine. And so you want to write because you will inspire other people to do the same, to tell their stories. If somebody sees you being brave enough to put your story out there and to leave your mark in the world, then you might just inspire somebody else to do the same. So the next one is to give back. I always talk about the fact that our lives are not about us. That's what I found for myself. Like, my life is totally not about me. All the things that I've experienced, all the things that I've accomplished, they're not about me at all. They're about somebody else. So you not sharing and not releasing your gift into the world, I feel is really selfish. It's really downright selfish. And that's what the conclusion that I've come to is, to not share your gift with the world is selfish. I think that we all have a responsibility to give back when we have overcome something, when we have made it, when, you know, whatever made it is for you. Oh, I don't like that piece of hair. But anyway, whatever made it is for you, you know, you have a responsibility to give back. I really believe that. If you've overcome a situation, like, go tell somebody how you did that. I have an author right now that is writing a book that I'm so excited about that she's writing, and it's called The Journey of the Caregiver. And the fact that she has walked through this experience, that she cared for her husband when he was sick with cancer, somebody needs to know how she did that. I can remember a time when I was in that position, having to care for my loved one who was ill, and how hard it was for me, and not having somebody, feeling like I didn't have people who understood my journey. So I'm sure that people who are taking care of sick parents, sick spouse or child, or, you know, anybody that you're being the caregiver for, her book is going to have a huge impact. She's working on it right now, and I'm so excited for her, but I'm more excited about what it's going to do for her community and people who are, quote unquote, suffering through in silence, not knowing that, you know, not knowing exactly what to do. So when you share your journey and how you overcame something, if that's what you're going to write about, then you empower somebody else, because you let them know that they can do it too, that they can overcome too. You let them know how you did that thing, right? So, so you do it to give back. The other reason is that has to do with others is I think that writing makes you immortal in a sense. And I saw that in Authorpreneur, a book called Authorpreneur that I'm reading. And I really love this book. But he talked about writing making you immortal. So it's something that you will have for the rest of your life that will remain even long after you're gone. So it's about legacy. It's about leaving a piece of you in the world. And I've shared this story about before about a young lady who for years kept telling me she wanted to write her book. I'm going to write my book. Like, every time she saw me, it brought up in her mind the fact that she still hadn't written her book. And I would always say, I'm here when you're ready. I'm here when you're ready. And she said that for 2 years, 3 years. And she had an incredible testimony of living. She had overcome cancer. She had beat cancer like so many times. And she kept saying she wanted to write the book for her children and for her husband, and then for the world, right? Because she had so much to say about her incredible faith. She had incredible faith, but she passed away before she could write the book. Like, we don't have forever, guys. We think we can keep saying tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. You keep putting it off day after day, month after month, year after year. That's how we do, right? But tomorrow's not promised, not to sound morbid or anything, but tomorrow's not promised. And I was so sad when that happened, and the fact that she did not get to write her book like she wanted to, because I felt like it would have been such a great gift to her children and her husband and to people like me and our church family who loved her dearly, for her to be able to leave that piece of herself with us after she transitioned. And so, yeah, writing helps you to live beyond, right? For the people that you leave behind. So again, I say it's a responsibility that we have. If you have something to say it, write it. And now, let's see. Okay, we'll get away from that. So another reason is because it's easier. It is easier, more now than ever, is easier to write a book than it has been. You have so many tools available to you. Like, now you can write the book and that's all you have to do. I have the self-publishing company now, labupublishing.com. You can write the book and you submit it to us and we do everything else. Like, how easy is that? So it's not extremely hard. You have the part of writing. Your job is writing. Our job is to do everything else. So it's easier. It's so much easier now to do it. And then the other reason why it's so easy is because you have social media. You have all of these platforms now that are available to you that weren't available a long time ago, when people wrote as far as promoting your book, getting the word out, marketing. You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. You have all of these avenues now that make it incredibly easy for you to do what you need to do, versus a long time ago when that stuff wasn't around. Like, you can have your book reach millions all over the world just by being on social media, when it would not have been that easy to do so way back when, and way back when is not really that long ago. But, so yeah, so it's so much easier now. You have self-publishing versus traditional publishing. You don't have to deal with rejection from traditional publishing anymore. The pain that comes with shopping your book around, trying to get someone to accept it, trying to get someone to say that they'll publish it, and then you give it to them and then they want to change the concept or change the words, and all of that nonsense has been wiped out with self-publishing, right? So you can write your book and you can keep the rights to that book, and you can keep the concept the way you want it. You have that freedom in self-publishing. So now is just a great time because you have all of these resources available to you, and with ease. So there's really no excuse, guys. I hate to say it, but there's no excuse. So now, more on the business side of why now would be the time to write your book, is brand building. And I'm sure you guys have all heard, about writing a book giving you the credibility that you deserve. You don't have to be an expert to write a book, but writing a book can make you an expert because of all of the research that you do in order to be able to write it. By the time you get finished with that thing, if you didn't feel like an expert going in, you'll feel like it coming out because you have to do your due diligence just to even write it. So it builds your brand. So if you're somebody who already has a business, whatever that business is, you writing a book establishes credibility and makes you an expert in that area. So it really doesn't make sense to have a business and not have a book. Moving into the next one, is that it creates other opportunities and it opens doors when you publish your book. It gives you exposure. And I, for one, can attest to that, the exposure that it gives, because I have ended up in some amazing places and under some amazing circumstances just because I've written books. and had some amazing opportunities. When I wrote my the mentoring program, that's one that's not even published out. That's the curriculum that I had for the mentoring program that I read. But then somebody in Ghana heard about it, and I ended up going to Ghana because I had written this manual, and someone in Ghana wanted to use it for a mentoring program for the youth in Ghana. And so I was invited to go to speak at a global literacy conference after I had written that. And so that was an opportunity that I may not have gotten had I not written the book. One of the other things was when I wrote my first book, my very first book was a book of poetry and short stories. So it was my life story told through poetry and short story. And it ended up, one of the poems in there, will I remember the name of the poem? Torn Between Two Lovers. It was a stage play that was being put on in, I'm not going to remember where it was, somewhere past DC or somewhere out there. But anyway, it was a stage play, a production that was going on. And I was asked to recite that poem at the beginning of the play. Huge for me. Like, it was such an honor that I opened the play with a poem that I wrote in my book. And so I was really, really excited about that. The other thing is, and you guys have heard me talk about the children's book that I wrote after coming back from Ghana, and that whole experience. Myself and the lady Caroline Brewer, we wrote the book C is for Coco, was written with the children that we experienced things with in Ghana. So we made this ABC book with them and everything. And then it got picked up, like someone called us from Hollywood to have that book in the movie because it featured children from Ghana, and it was Idris Elba starred in it. It was The Beast of No Nation, and they wanted our children's book to be the book that the child read from in the beginning of the movie with his mom, simply because it featured Ghana and the movie was being filmed in Ghana. And I don't know how they found our children's book other than searching on Amazon. But huge for us, right? That we had this book that now, if you watch like the first 10, 15 minutes of Beasts of No Nation with Idris Elba, the little boy, his mom is holding a children's book, an ABC book, and she's teaching him to read. And that's my book. Like, huge, right? I'm so excited about that now, still to this day. But when you write, you never know what opportunities or what doors are going to open for you. And so why wait on that? Why wait on that? Do it now. Do it now. And then the other thing is speaking opportunities. Like, I've had some amazing speaking opportunities behind the books that I've written. My one book, Principles of the Ultimate Business Diva, I taught that to government workers. And then I was invited to the Department of Veteran Affairs to speak because of that book, to teach that book as a curriculum for the women for, I think it was Women's History Month that I spoke at the Department of Veteran Affairs, because they knew I had this book, Principles of the Ultimate Business Diva. It fit right with the theme of Women's History Month. So my point is, guys, you never know where your writing is going to lead you, the doors that it will open for you, the opportunities that it will give you. So stop sitting on your gift. It is time to put your gift out into the world now, not next month, not next year, but now. It's the perfect time for you to write now. And then a book is an extension of yourself. And so when I talk about the speaking engagements, it's a great way for you to leave a piece of you with the audience. So a lot of times, if you're somebody that's a speaker like myself and you go out, it just does not make sense for you to be a public speaker, a professional speaker, and not have something to leave with the audience. Because if you're good, they're going to want to stay connected with you. And I remember doing a speech at the Blacks in Government National Training Conference, and there were over 100 people in the room. So the room was filled to capacity. It was standing room only. And at the end of that, there was at least 70 people in line to purchase my book. Now, I could have given a great speech. I could have, rocked the room and then said, guys, I'm glad you joined me. This has been great. See you later. And left all that money on the table. because I didn't have anything to give them as an extension of me. What sense does that make? So if you're somebody that's in the business of speaking, you definitely need to write your book now. Need to write your book now. And so those are my reasons why you need to write a book now. So I'll do a quick recap, and then I'll share with you a couple of quotes that I wanted to leave with you. And I told you guys, if you came to this webinar, there would be some bonuses in here. So I have some bonuses in here for you. And so, yeah, and then we'll wrap up, because I know it's late where you are, although it's early where I am. So the first reason was your story has impact, and that's why you need to share it. Somebody needs what you have to offer. Stop being selfish. Go ahead and release that to the world. The next one was the joy and personal growth that comes from writing. You grow, you heal. There's so much in writing. It brings healing. The third thing was to release what you're passionate about. So if you are passionate about a cause or an illness or anything like that, if you're passionate about it, then that's a great way for you to connect with those like-minded people that care about that same cause that you do. The fourth one was to make your mark in the world, because you have your own unique voice, and nobody can tell your story like you can tell your story. Nobody can write your novel like you can write your novel. There's always something unique and different about your voice that will connect with the audience that is for you, that is uniquely for you. The fifth one was, if you've been saying that you're going to do this forever, over and over again, year after year, it's time to do it now. It's time for you to prove to yourself that you can actually do it, that you can actually do it. And what a great feeling of victory is going to be when you do that, when the UPS man knocks on your door and shows up with that first print of your book. It is nothing like it, guys. The sixth was, when you do it, when you step up and you do it, you give other people permission to do the same. You might inspire your children to write. That's kind of what it's done for me. When I hear my kids tell me that they're working on their books, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even say it, and they're thinking about it, because I've proven to them that it's possible. So when when you do that, you give other people, not just in the world, but in your own family, in your own community, and sometimes your own children, you inspire them to go out and do great and awesome things too. Number 7 was to give back, because our lives are not about us. So we need to stop being selfish and go ahead and do that thing, because we have a responsibility. I remember Maya Angelou saying, when you learn, teach. So if you've been through some things in life and you've overcome some things and you know how to do that thing, it's time for you to give back. Number 8 was, writing makes you immortal, that it lives on way after you're gone. And it's a piece of you that can be left with your family, your children, your fans, your community, whatever it is, it leaves a piece of you here. Number 9 was, because it's easier now than ever for you to write a book. You have the resources, you have the self-publishing company, you have labubupublishing.com that can take you from concept to creation to get that book out of you. You just write and we do the rest of the work for you. The cover design, the editing, the book formatting, the ISBN, all of that stuff is done for you. So you don't even have to struggle with it. Just write. I always say nothing happens until you write. So it's just time for you to write. Get it done. Number 9, nope, that was number 9. Number 10 was the social media exposure that's available to you now with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things available to you to be able to promote your book, all these resources that are available to you to be able to spread your book and your message throughout the world. Number 11 was the brand building aspect of it, that you can establish yourself as the expert in your field. For some reason, when you write a book, people figure, if you took the time and you did the research to write a book in that thing that you keep talking about, it establishes you as an expert. And when somebody is looking for a speaker, they would probably choose the speaker that has the book over the one that doesn't, because the book establishes credibility. Trust me, it does. And then 12 was that it creates other opportunities for you. It gives you exposure in ways that you probably wouldn't be able to do without it. You don't know what doors that it will open up for you. So I just say you have to step out on faith, go ahead and write the book, and then be wowed about what will happen once you give yourself permission to do it. And the doors and the opportunities that will open up, you will just see it's going to be phenomenal. And then the last one was about the book being an extension of yourself. If you're somebody who's a speaker, you know, and doing things in the community, it's like the new business card. A book is like the new business card for somebody to take away. And a person may throw your business card away, but they are not likely to throw your book away. So remember that. So those were all the reasons why now is a great time to write your book, the perfect time to write your book. And so a couple of the quotes that I wanted to share one was from the Authorpreneur book. It says, if you want an unfair advantage in the world, start writing. Seth Godin said, you should write because your ideas deserve it. That is so powerful. Like, your ideas deserve to be put out into the world. Like, don't just hold on to them because they're not for you anyway. We just talked about that. And then Brian Tracy said, true happiness and fulfillment come when you feel that you are making a valuable contribution to the world. And writing, I feel, is a great way for you to do that, for you to get your message out there. So there you have it, guys. Those are the reasons why you should write a book now, why it is the perfect time for you to write a book now. So here are the goodies. So if you are a new writer, I have this amazing new writer's planner that I'm going to send to those of you who are interested in getting it. It's So You Think You Can Write a Book. It's called the New Writer's Planner, and it goes through how to actually pull that book out of you, and it gives you prompts, and it helps you to think about what it is you actually want to write about. And when you're finished with it, you have a complete outline for your book. So new writer or not, this is a really useful tool that I will be sending out to those of you who provided your email address to come to the webinar. So if you clicked and you registered for the webinar with your email address, I will be sending this planner out to you very, very soon, probably tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow. And then the other goodie is that for this month, for the remainder of the month of March, any of the publishing packages that are on LaBouxPublishing.com are 15% off. So that's hundreds of dollars of savings off of each and every package. So it applies to every package from the lowest package to the biggest package. They are discounted at 15% off through the end of March. So midnight, March 31st. And I'll even do it my midnight, which is 6 a.m. for you guys into the next month. But 15% off all of the publishing packages that you see on the site. So LaBouxPublishing.com is the website. And so I hope you guys will go check it out. If you feel like you are ready to write, let me know. And let me know right now, like, if this information was helpful to you. Did it inspire you in some way? Are you in fact ready to write? Do you feel like you can do it? Let me know your thoughts, guys. Or if you have a question right now, I will even open it up for questions. But this has been why now is the perfect time to write your book.